There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. I'm not sure if that's referring to building a house, or tearing down a house, or clearing a field, or cluttering a field with stones. I'm not sure exactly. That's, again, something that people in 940 BC would have understood a little bit more readily than we might. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, like during COVID. COVID's a time to refrain from embracing, huh? A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on men. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. Yet they cannot fathom what... So basically God is the God of time. God assigned all these times and seasons for us. Remember, way back at the beginning in Genesis, He set the stars and the moons in the sky, and the sun, the moon, and the stars in the sky, to mark days and seasons and years. Those are the time markers they used back in those days. Still are to this day. It's how we base our calendar this day, is from the sun. So the time markers that were put in the sky by God were there to help us mark out time. And He assigned all these times for things to happen, and for us to experience these different seasons in life. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. So we know instinctively that we are destined for something greater than just this. We all know this. Like, human beings have known this, and internally and instinctively from the beginning. Every religion in the world that's ever existed has attempted to address this issue. Every philosophy that's ever existed has attempted to address this issue. Even today, we have a political crowd today that denies God, or denies religion, or denies the afterlife, or denies any sort of spirituality. Yet these people still talk about always wanting to be on the right side of history, because in their minds, that's how they live forever. Being on the right side of history is their version of immortality. So we all have this desire for eternity. We all have somewhere in us this instinctive awareness of and longing for eternity. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. But we aren't going to get there. We aren't going to understand this longing for eternity without God's help. I know that there is nothing better for men than to be happy and to do good while they live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken from it. God does it so that men will revere Him. Paul's going to mention in the book of Acts, many years from now, that God set the times and seasons for where men will live so they might turn to Him and find Him. So God has arranged life this way to give us opportunities to seek for Him and find Him. And in this case, revere Him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before. And God will call the past to account, or He'll call back the past, or He'll chase after the pursued or the persecuted. Basically, it means that God will set things right. We said earlier that what is twisted cannot be straightened, and what is lacking cannot be counted. Basically meaning that what's happened has happened. Whatever evil has been done has been done. But God will set that all to account someday. He will chase after the persecuted and the pursued and rescue them, and he will call the past to account and set right what has gone wrong. He will straighten out what's been twisted or made crooked. And I saw something. He won't change the past. God's not going to go back into the past and change what happened, but he will correct it and call it to account someday. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. In the place of justice, wickedness was there. I thought in my heart, God will bring to judgment both the righteous and the wicked. For there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. So everything we do in any season of life that we're in is going to be called to account someday. Whether we're righteous or wicked, it's going to happen to everybody, universally. I also thought, as for men, God tests them so they may see that they are like animals. Man's fate is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath, or the same spirit, the same breath of life. Now God breathed the breath of life into man with his own nostrils. He breathed the breath of life into animals too, but not in such a personal, intimate way. All living creatures have the breath of life in them. All have the same breath. Man has no advantage over the animal. Everything is meaningless. Now he does have advantages over the animal. This is one of those examples where we can't take what Ecclesiastes says as the last word on things, because man does have advantages over the animal. But we both do die. And when we die, the breath of life that God put in our lungs goes out. And that's true for both man and animal. I got 3 cats in the living room, in the bedroom back there. One of them is meowing, one's out. I've had 2 cats before I got those 3. They both died. Those 3 cats will both die. I'll die. Okay? What happened to my previous 2 cats will happen to me someday. What happens to me someday will happen to those 3 cats someday. We're all going to die, and the breath of life that we have in us now that animates us, or that my older cats had in them that animated them, is going to go out. In that case, there's no difference between us. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all will return. And remember, the dust of the earth is what's been cursed. So anything that comes out of the dust is also cursed. Who knows if the spirit of man rises upward, and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? Or who knows the spirit of man, which it rises upward, and the spirit of the animal, which goes down to the earth? So I saw that there is... Now remember, God at this point in time, in Solomon's day, has not yet revealed to mankind what his ultimate purpose is. Solomon just got done talking about God being in control of time, and God setting the past to account and straightening out the things that have gone wrong. He also talked about God setting eternity in the hearts of men, but Solomon himself does not know what God plans on doing with all this. So he's speaking from a position of ignorance here. He has not yet been given the insight into God's long-term plan for humanity to be able to answer some of his own questions. So I saw that there is nothing better for man than to enjoy his work, because that is his lot. For who can bring him to see what will happen after him? He's going to die, so he might as well enjoy what he does before he dies. That's good advice, actually. Now, some of Ecclesiastes goes pretty far along in the despair end of the spectrum, but it is good advice to enjoy what you do while you're doing it. Don't indulge in it. Don't see that as saving you. Your work is not going to save you. Your material wealth is not going to save you. Your accomplishments are not going to save you. But enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it. That is good advice. Again, I didn't used to do that. Okay, I didn't used to enjoy what I was doing while I was doing it. I was pretty miserable for a very long time. It's like, enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it. Cat back there, she's very annoying. Again, I looked and saw all the oppression that was taking place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. Power was on the side of their oppressors, and they have no comforter. And I declared that the dead who had already died are happier than the living who are still alive. That's basically what Job is saying in parts of the book of Job. But better than both is he who has not yet been born, who has not yet seen the evil that is done under the sun. We're all innocent at some point in our lives, but we all lose that innocence eventually. We all come out of the womb innocent and unaware of anything, but as we grow up, we lose that innocence, we lose that unawareness. We become bitter, we become skeptical, we become sinners, like we commit our own sins. We don't just inherit the sinful nature from being born in a sinful condition, carrying the curse of Adam with us, but we also commit our own sins and become guilty in our own right. And we see the things that are done around us that we can't do anything about, and we get damaged by that. And I saw that all labor and all achievement spring from man's envy of his neighbor. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. We want to keep up with the Joneses. We want to do things because everybody else is doing them. We want to have things so we have the same things or better things everybody else has. It's a very, very common motivation, ubiquitous throughout the human race, throughout all of time. And that's not any different today than it was in Solomon's day, and it wasn't any different in Solomon's day than it was in Noah's day, and it wasn't any different in Noah's day than it was in the days of Adam and beyond. I mean, like, that has been true in human existence from the beginning. The fool holds his hands and ruins him, folds his hands. Basically, he goes down to sleep, takes a nap on the job, basically, and ruins himself. Better one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. But you can also be a fool by working too hard and forgetting to enjoy what's going on in life. Again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother, no companions, in other words. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. So he was pursuing his career and his wealth and his material gain to such a degree that he wasn't allowing himself to enjoy any of it. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. That doesn't mean having sex. That means lying down in a cold desert night to keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. That's not meaningless. That's not futile. He doesn't call that futile. He doesn't call friendship and companionship futile. Better a poor but wise youth than an old but foolish king who no longer knows how to take warning. So the poor but wise youth is coming to take the king's place, in other words, and the king doesn't know what to do about it and how to stop it. The youth may have come from prison to the kingship, or he may have been born in poverty within his kingdom. I saw that all who lived and walked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successor. There was no end to all the people who were before them. But those who came later were not pleased with the successor. So, whatever happens, the chain of successor, the old king is going to get replaced by somebody eventually. And then that guy, whoever he is, whatever he does, however he came to the kingship, is going to get replaced someday by somebody. And that guy is going to get replaced someday by somebody. It's never going to end. Whether you come from a prison background or a hardship background, or you were born into it, or however you got to it, someone else is going to come along and take your place eventually. And then that guy is going to have someone else to come along and take his place eventually. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind.